So we'll grab our speakers from this session to take the panel questions. In the meantime, I've got a couple of announcements that just keep coming. All the books are sold, so sorry, they're all gone now. You guys were so fast. And also the Lost and Found flyers, my bad, they haven't been delivered yet, so they're not available at the Getting to Zero table yet, but they will arrive and we'll distribute them when they arrive. And the other thing is, are Josh Pemberton and Caitlin Stanford here? Oh, yes, okay. Well, I've got some good news for you. You have won a prize, the Nestle Purina Pet Care Free Registration Competition. So you just need to grab your prize from the Purina stand at afternoon tea. Congratulations. Round of applause. So now, if you wanted to jump onto Slido and either ask a question or vote for the questions that you would like to. Oh, yes. And we're asking what species are your animal family members as well? So far, mostly cats and dogs. So we're just doing a quick poll here. So it looks like cats. No, oh, dogs are catching up. Hang on a minute. The dog owners are not as fast at Slido. I think that's what we can conclude. Rightio. We might go to the questions then. Oh, dogs are winning. They won. Kristen, how do you home unsocialized cats?
Well, I really appreciated Trish's presentation on playgroups because playgroups form the heart of what we do for our dogs, or how we evaluate and assess dogs, and how we move them through our system. Every one of our 500 or more dogs on site goes to playgroup. For cats, they don't find playgroup as enjoyable. So we have a whole other set of programs for them. Has anybody here heard of Jackson Galaxy? So we are one of the Jackson Galaxy cat positive shelters. So we clicker train our non-social cats. We have a whole team of volunteers that does clicker training with our cats, and it's really amazing. I was very skeptical about it and how long it would take, but you know, the cats that love to swat at people are always the ones that are the best at high fives. So we socialize our cats that way, and then we have cats that are, because we have such a high volume, we won't be able to socialize, and for those cats, they go through our working cat placement program. So they live in an outdoor enclosure until we find someone looking for a barn cat or a working cat, and then they're placed back into the community.
Okay, and another question for Kristen. How do you adopt animals with medical problems that may result in ongoing medical expenses for new owners, or those animals that don't have a definitive diagnosis yet?
So 25% of the pets that come into our shelter, so we take in 18,000 pets a year, 25% have critical or urgent medical needs. Many of those are going to be chronic long-term issues. We foster about 5,000 pets a year, so some of those pets go into foster as they're being treated. Other ones go to rescue groups. We work with about 100 different rescue partners. And then some we adopt out. And we found that people love the opportunity to adopt out pets with long-term chronic medical issues, which people are like, yeah, right. Who wants to take home a cat that's going to need a pet that's going to need a special diet, or is going to need to see the veterinarian occasionally? And people want to help. They want to help the animals that still are dying, and so they're more than willing to step up. But it comes back to the transparency piece and being really upfront with people at the time of adoption counseling what the needs are going to be.
Thank you. Trish, how do you promote change in environments where staff have been doing the same thing for years and dismiss any ideas or suggestions?
I have borrowed a page from Kristen's book and other people's books that I have heard here, and we call them pilot projects. So that is your key word, is measure your data. So I'm getting everybody in on this discussion. pilot the project, look at some key points, look at length of stay is one that I really look at with playgroups. So if your length of stay has gone from 14 days to 10 days by instituting playgroups, and people seeing that more of your dogs are social, so they're leaving faster, that is something you can take to your manager, to your public, and say, look, this is working. The other thing that I look at is cost of care per day. So if I am keeping a dog that's deemed dog aggressive, like Brady on that, he'd been there, I'm not sure when that video was taken, but quite a number of months. If they had known on day 2 that he was dog social, all of those days, and the ballpark figure I use is $25 per dog per day. It might be higher here because everything's more expensive here. But if you can see that you are reducing length of stay, it's just a pilot program. Compared to last year, the same month, we have improved things, then you can make those changes permanent. And often people will just see the difference once you start doing an enrichment program, once you start doing a dog play program, once you start teaching your cats how to high five. And so quantify, get some media around it. The other thing that I learned early on is to positively reinforce the right people. So if you have started a dog play program and your manager was, you make sure it's your manager who is getting the credit in the press when they come in and, oh, look at our length of stay has gone down, look at all the social dogs, look at these dogs playing. Manager, tell them how wonderful your shelter is and your great idea to have playgroups.
Jessica, do you have any tips to help managers learn how to think more creatively about their hurdles?
I would say the biggest thing is storytelling. I'm a huge advocate for, you can tell, I tell a lot of stories, because when you try to give somebody a concept as different to how they're used to thinking, for example, thinking about people, not animals, because we're in the animal industry, people really struggle to get their head around that. And you've got different people with different levels of EQ and IQ and experience and different levels of what is going to actually motivate them to change. So it's very much about understanding what's going to work for whichever audience it is, whether it's your ground staff, whether it's your managers, frankly. No offense to anybody in the room, but it's usually the middle managers that are your biggest stoppers for change being successful. So it's really about trying to get them to have real life examples that are relevant to them. So trying to find something that works to get it into them, and usually I find that stories is the most successful method for that, whether that's pilot program, do it with an animal, be able to tell the story of, look at the success we had, prove them wrong, or whether it's you have to totally take it outside of the context that they're used to, because if you try to put it in their context, some people that are quite defensive about change will instantly see what you're doing. So taking it totally outside of what they do on a day-to-day basis, give them a story that gets them excited, and then go, how could we use that in our industry? And often their brains kind of tick, tick, tick. But like all change management, like all anything to do with human behavior, the more they think they came up with the idea, the more successful it's going to be. So trying to go down that route is always option number one if you can.
So, and it sounds like data can be part of that story as well. So that brings me to Anne. What do you think is the biggest requirement to get changes like yours off the ground?
Sorry. In order to get change, what I found, because again there were some people that were a bit resistant to some of the ideas that I was trying to put in place, it is your results speak. So if you can get them to do like this pilot program or give you a trial and always say, look, if it doesn't work, we won't do it anymore. So therefore, if you can get it to actually happen and then you actually start to get the runs on the board, it's just lay down misère from that. If anybody plays 500, it's it will just roll on from that, and then success breeds success, and then you can try something else, and then you can try something else, and then you can start to roll your programs out a little bit closer together, and then you can really start to make some inroads, and then it's just like, well, it was just like we were doing this all the time. It's like, why weren't we doing this before? But it's just get runs on the board. That's what I found has been the most successful way to do it. And always don't say that this is the change and how it's going to be from now on. It's let's just try it. It's not set in stone. We can change it. And it's just how I found to be successful.
Sounds like another vote for the pilot program. Kristen, a question for you. How do you avoid volunteer and staff feeling guilt or poor mental health or hoarding? Okay, so feeling guilty or poor mental health or becoming animal hoarders, I guess, if you tell them the animals planned are going to be euthanized unless someone adopts them. So I've translated that.
Okay, so this is like, hey, these are our euthanasia list animals for this week, and if you want to help, you can. I think that this is the hardest part of my job. And so if you take what Trish is talking about, behaviorally marginal dogs and cats, animals that have known behavioral challenges, for us, those are our hardest conversations. And none of us agree on the right thing to do. I think that I think people like Trish and I see both all of the animals that are dying for behavioral reasons, and we also see the consequences of trying to save them without having systems built to support them. And it's really hard. And what we do is we give volunteers and we give staff opportunities to help. That doesn't mean every animal, and we have a lot of hard conversations. I'm sort of the guardian of all of this, and I'm not a behaviorist. I don't know very much, but what it means is that we are always talking. And so our volunteers and staff get together every couple of months, and we'll have 2 and 3 hour long conversations, and we have a big list of animals to talk about. And there's a lot of challenging feelings, a lot of hard conversations, but we need to start having those, because until we start having the conversations, we're not going to work to save the lives. And so we just dig in and say we're going to talk about it. And we have gone from euthanizing probably 5 times as many animals, but we still euthanize animals, these marginal animals, but we at least know we gave them a fair shot at a live outcome, and that's a real difference for the organization.
Yeah, just to follow on from that, I think that that's exactly the big thing, is that knowing that you gave them every chance is what matters. And I think that some of the mistakes that we made, and certainly I made early on, is I knew I'd given these animals a really great chance, and so I didn't tend to have a huge guilt issue at the end of the week, because I knew I had done everything I could think of to help an individual. My team didn't see that decision-making process in my head, though. So they still felt that there were lots of things we didn't try, or why didn't I think about, or why didn't I try this? So what I ended up doing is we would have, each week, when we would have our kind of review panel, which was the animals we're struggling with, we need a new plan. If we ran out of plans, we would say that to the team. We're out of ideas. We tried that one with that animal, and remember that turned out really badly. We tried this one, but this won't work for this animal because it's got X, Y, Z. Give us more ideas. Tell me more ideas. And you either get a couple, which you've got to try, or they get to be in your head with that same moment of, I got nothing else I can do. And so they don't have that guilt to take home either, because they know that every idea that could have been on the cards was on the cards. And so I think it's really important to just being careful when we know we tried everything, making sure your staff know that they tried everything too, so opening that out, because they can't read all of the decision-making process that went on in your head.
Okay, thank you to the panel. It is afternoon tea time, and I'm under strict instructions that afternoon tea needs to be given, but I also have to give out prizes. So 3 questions. They are harder. I'm trying to make them hard. I'm going to fail, but okay. You've got to go crazy and loud, and I've written the questions based on a couple of the talks, but I'm going to let our speakers decide if they're correct or not. You don't have to do any hard thinking. It's just what you talked about. I haven't told them that, by the way, so they just got surprised. Question number 1. What are 2 out of 3 of the theories of behaviour that Jess mentioned? Put your hands up and scream if you know 2 of them. You can check your notes. Or 1. Not quite. She had 3 theories that she talked about, or 3 systems. She was talking about values and beliefs. 1 other chance for this prize. Yes? Yes, and you checked your notes. Aren't you good? Fantastic. You get a prize? Okay. It was a hard, well, because of 47 other people got the last one right. So what can I do? I'm desperate here. Okay, next question. Possibly easier. When collecting data, it is important to, what are two things that's important to do or be? Hang on, you got it? Truthful? Okay, yes, will we pay that, Anne? Yes, absolutely. Okay, who gets the prize? You guys were doing it collaboratively. One each. All right, one each will do. Okay, one more question. Is that all right? Yep, okay. Then third question. Oh, okay, this could be really hard. Describe how you would perform the consent test. Oh, yes. All right, you get a prize too. Well done, thank you. Enjoy afternoon tea. And the prize winners, if you just go to the registration desk, you can pick up your prize.